cattle and livestock have been on Hawaii for almost as long as Europeans. It all started in 1793 when Captain George Vancouver gave King Kamehameha a few cattle and plants. That forever changed the ecology, economy, and culture of Hawaii, and within a very short time, the whole island of Hawaii was overrun with cattle. Parker Ranch was created in 1850 to contain by that time over 25,000 wild and destructive beasts. Then, about 35 years later, Kamehameha III brought in 3 Spanish-Mexican vaquero, or cowboys, to Hawaii Island. The cowboy, the Hawaiian Paniolo, learned and perfected expert roping, cutting, driving, herding, and cattle transporting technique.
Long is the night for a horse and a cowboy running the race of their lives.
My father was originally from England, but as a boy, he always used to read about America and the West, and eventually moved to America at a very young age and went to school. When he went to Cal Poly, he majored in animal science. While he was there, he ended up rooming with a bunch of boys from Hawaii that were all cowboys, mainly from the Big Island. And when they got done, they asked him, "Hey, Duke, what are you gonna do? Come to Hawaii." And he's always had a passion, to get into ranching, and that's what sparked my interest. Me and my dad started our own ranch. We have a Rocking W ranch out there in Koloa. So I've been involved, as an early age, and it was all due to the passion that my father had back in England. This herd was established back in 1969. A gentleman, Bill Morley, decided to bring bison to Hawaii, but all of the bison are bison, which is the American bison. So they are a purebred herd. I think the biggest difference between bison and cattle is that cattle are a lot more domesticated. Being that we've worked cattle most of our career, so we've learned that with the bison, it takes a little bit longer. Cattle, you can drive them directly to an area where you want them to go, whereas bison, you pretty much drive them where they want to go. You have to respect their comfort zones a little bit more, and just know that they're not as tame and domesticated as cattle. Well, the reason that we actually round up the bison is, like any other bovine species, we like to keep up with their health and maintain, a program. When we do bring them in, it would be to take care of parasites, identification, selecting herd sires, and cows.
Well, the bison that we are working with, it's almost like wild cattle, basically. They're really shy. You just gotta really take your time with them and patience. And bison is a little bit more intimidating for humans and stuff because they just stand so much taller than you. And then with the cattle, and like for us, we feel more comfortable because it's just a smaller breed, and we feel like it's easier to handle.
A typical roundup for buffalo or bison, we'd start off by setting up our gates to our corral, setting up our wing fence gate. We'd get our guys together, organized, and we'd go out, start at the back end of the pasture. Make sure we kind of scan the pasture best we can to make sure we don't leave any behind. And we'd slowly push them towards that lane, should you say, leading into the corral. It's a very slow process. You can't really push them very hard.
We use the ATVs and stuff over the horses. It's just in the terrain that we're in. It's a lot of swampy ground. It's harder for the horses, and just safety reasons. It's easier for us to just kind of get across those mucky areas with those ATVs, and in case we needed to get out of the way, it's much quicker than a horse.
The first time we tried to herd that herd of buffalo down there in Honolulu, didn't quite go as planned. We got them to the gate of the corral, and we applied a little bit too much pressure. Ended up turning around and almost running a few guys over on the way back out.
Actually locking them up for about an hour or two, and we open the gate and let them back out just so they get used to the corral.
We as humans trying to manage the bison in areas like that, it plays a big role to understand that the bisons are gonna show us the areas that they're more comfortable with. And if you just take time to observe and watch them graze and go through, the acreage, there's a path where they're comfortable at, and we just allow them time to choose that path and use that as a tool. And if they're not in the proper position or the proper part of the acreage, it's hard for those little calves to be walking through all the muck and stuff. So when we do take our time, the animals will go and find the higher ground, and they'll be all lined up and just following each other to the destination, which is to the holding pen.
Well, usually on cattle branding, we drive the whole herd into the corral, separate the calves and the wean-offs, and then put some fly spray on them to control the flies. We do a deworming of the animals.
We rope them and we bring them out, and we have guys on the ground that bring them down, and we put our ropes on, stretch them out, and we brand them. And if we gotta cut like a bull, we don't want it to be a bull, we'll cut down and then doctor them up, and then we let them go right back to their mother. So it's a quick thing. They're not separated from their moms that long. Yeah, we put our Rocking W brand on them. It's a pretty quick procedure.
Well, you've got to have a very strong work ethic. It's kind of a 7-day-a-week type job, dealing with animals, so they can be a little temperamental. They can jump fences, they can break fences, so you've got a lot of maintenance you're gonna have to do. So it's pretty much a 24/7 job.
You have to have pride in your herd there. You want your herd to look the best, as they possibly can. And, if you can see room for improvement, or that this cow is lacking something, and what's wrong and what you can do to improve it. It's just taking that initiative to do it to improve your herd at its best.
I just like the lifestyle of being a cowboy and just doing what cowboys do, roping, riding, catching cattle and stuff. You gotta have an organized day, you gotta always know what you're gonna do and be prepared for anything.
You got to really enjoy being outside and dealing with nature, dealing with the weather, obviously, and all that stuff that has to do with being a cowboy.
I've spent my whole life being around animals, horses, every type of animal that we have here on the islands. I think first and foremost, you have to love what you do, and it grows with you. I feel that I'm blessed. again, for Stuart being a part of that whole bison deal down there. I was part of that, and I'm happy to see what we have done in this short period of time with the animals.
I'm very passionate about the lifestyle. I think that more people should actually spend time out farming or ranching. I think society has got caught up in the concrete jungle, and technology. But it is a very healthy and spiritual existence. For me, it's been a great lifestyle. I wouldn't trade it. If I had to do it over, I'd do it again.
Having an opportunity to work with the bison is like my little void of expertise. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it.